time no see, everyone. It is Weather for Weather Geeks, the first edition of 2022. After almost 3 weeks away, I am back at it on this third day of January in the new year. Hope you and yours had a good holiday season, including Christmas and New Year's. Over the break, I got married on December 18th. We had a short but nice little honeymoon out in the San Francisco area. That was my first time actually being in that area, and it's kind of a gloomy time of the year out there, so we didn't have great weather, but we did have a very enjoyable time, and it was good to kind of relax and kind of disengage for most of the last 3 weeks from social media and the daily weather grind, if you will. That was helped by our local weather actually being pretty quiet over the last couple of weeks. We got through the entire holiday season without any sort of big winter weather event. Didn't really have any severe weather either, and now as we have rolled forward into the new year, we've got plenty to talk about this week, so let's get to it this evening and geek out to some weather and science stuff. First of all, a little astronomy geeks this evening. I mentioned this on 21 News at 6. Your neighbors may think you're weird, but tomorrow, if you think of it, wave at the sun up in the sky. We're going to see the sun tomorrow, and we're kind of driving by the sun tomorrow. It's our closest approach to that most important star tomorrow. It's called perihelion, and we're 91.4 million miles away from the sun tomorrow, 3 million miles closer than at aphelion, which actually occurs in the northern hemisphere summer. The Earth's orbit is not a perfect circle. It's more of an ellipse. So sometimes of the year, I should say, specifically this time of the year, we're a little bit closer to the sun than during the northern hemisphere summer in July. The reason for the season, of course, the tilt of the Earth rather than our proximity to the sun. So the sun appears to be about 7 or 8% bigger in the sky, but boy, you're not going to stare at the sun, and certainly it's not really all that noticeable and has really no impact on the weather or the seasons here on Earth. Well, it certainly felt like the season today. 26 was the best we did today, 19 the low this morning. It was just kind of a ho-hum day out there today. Had a little sun at times. The clouds tended to win the battle by the afternoon. We had some random flurries here and there. We've had colder and snowier January 3rds, that is for sure, but overall just kind of a blah day today as a lot of us went back to work and school. The flurry activity faded away earlier on this evening, and clouds will fade away overnight. Much bigger deal off to our south and east. Earlier today, we had 8 to 12 inches worth of snow around Washington, D.C. Baltimore had several inches, and some of the areas of Delaware and Maryland and extreme southern New Jersey did very, very well. This actually brought accumulating snow as far south as northern Alabama last night, and with as dynamic of a system as this was, we had a lot of reports of wind damage across the Carolinas and into southern Virginia. And snow accumulated, again, as far north as Kentucky, West Virginia, and extreme southeastern PA and up towards Long Island. But around here, we just were too far north to get in on any of that so-called fun. The clouds have been kind of persistent, but they're about to break up, I should say, as we go through the next several hours. And with a clear sky tonight, it'll be pretty cold. We'll drop into the upper teens, much like last night. A better day coming up for tomorrow. We're going to see the sun as high pressure drifts off to our east. Make a run at 40 by the end of the day. Then we have kind of a topsy-turvy day on Wednesday. Yes, it's going to be warmer Wednesday. We'll probably make a run into the mid-40s, but clouds will increase. There could be a sprinkle or a shower, but the bigger impacts Wednesday, actually from the wind. Pretty tight pressure gradient evolving on Wednesday with low pressure moving across the Great Lakes. I think we could have some pretty strong winds as we get into the afternoon. Then on Thursday, kind of a calmer day and kind of a break between systems on Thursday, but on the tail end of this front, notice the moisture gathering down here. This is actually a low-pressure system that will form along the tail end of this front and come north and east. Now, the exact track will be very important for us and our weather as we go into Thursday night and into early Friday morning. One more quick word on the wind on Wednesday before we talk more about the snow. I think by the afternoon, we could see gusts of 40 or so. Not crazy wind, but enough to be noticeable. And if it's your trash day, Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, if your trash has been emptied and that can is a little lighter, it could go tumbling down the street with this kind of wind. All right, here's what we know and don't know with our snow. Again, this would be very late Thursday into Thursday night. I've been keeping an eye on this over the last couple of days, even though I did not work over the weekend. I was sneaking a peek at some of the modeling over the weekend. And some trends over the last 12 hours or so. Over the weekend, we had a pretty big divergence between the European model and the Canadian model, and then over on the other camp was the GFS and to some extent some of the other modeling. Today the models are in a little bit better agreement, and actually the European model appears to be trending towards the GFS a little bit today. And what that means for us, if that is the right trend, it would be less of a big deal for us. So what we do know, yeah, there's going to be a winter storm across the eastern U.S. Thursday into Friday. If we see precipitation from that storm, it would be snow. I don't think we'll see any problems with mixed precipitation with the current expected range in tracks. None of those tracks are so far to the west that it would drag in enough warm air for something other than snow to fall. The highest chance for plowable snow, we're starting to become a little more confident that the highest chance is going to be south and east of Youngstown. The farther south and east you are, closer to I-79 in PA, closer to Pittsburgh, and then especially to the east and central PA, I think you have higher chances of this being a big-ticket event. What we don't know as of Monday evening, the exact track of the system. Again, I mentioned it's unlikely that the track is so far to the west that we see something other than snow, but if this thing tracks so far to the east, too far to the east, we won't see hardly anything from this Thursday night. So that's something we don't quite know just yet. In the wake of that system, whether we get snow from the actual low-pressure system or not, it seems like lake effect will impact parts of the region on Friday. The exact impact's something we don't know at this point. As far as, will this be enough to shovel and plow in some parts of our TV viewing area, will be mostly not such a big deal. Before we talk a little bit more about our late week system, I wanted to talk briefly about the January forecast since I've been off over the last few weeks. Have not talked, of course, to you on Weather for Weather Geeks about the January forecast in a while, and here's a look at the latest outlook for the month as a whole. I don't think it's going to be a severe cold January, but I do think that cold shots will be much more frequent this month than in December. We had a pretty balmy month of December compared to the average, and while we're going to have kind of a back and forth January, it looks like, certainly we'll have more winter weather opportunities this month than last month. Here's a look at the current models with our late week system before we leave this evening. I'm going to compare just two of them. We look at, a lot of people ask me, hey, do you like the Euro or the GFS? The truth of the matter is we're not just looking at those two models. Those two models tend to get the most publicity because they're two of the more major mid-range models. But, I look at a dozen or more pieces of information when I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with a winter weather system. Here's a look at the GFS. Now, don't pay attention to all the numbers. I've got the temperatures plotted up here. That's not important, but you'll notice this is late Thursday. The GFS basically has nothing. It suggests that this wave of low pressure is so far to the south and east that, yeah, there's going to be a little snow maybe in West Virginia, southern PA. Here's the beginnings of some lake effect up to the north. But basically, the GFS is a miss. Now, the European still does bring us some snow. Here's a look at the European for Thursday night, suggesting that, yes, the heaviest of the snow would be along the spine of the Appalachians, but we'd still get grazed and roads would still be slippery. Wouldn't be a big-ticket event, but certainly anybody with travel plans Thursday night would have to pay attention if the Euro is right. But even that Euro solution is more in line with some of the farther east ideas that we had over the weekends. So the GFS and other models. The European was quite a bit farther to the west over the weekend, suggesting that we would get in on the heavier snow. Again, it wasn't so far to the west that it brought in rain or anything like that, but it kind of hit the sweet spot with us. Cold enough for snow and far enough to the west that we'd get in on that bigger, deeper plume of moisture. Today, the European is caving towards those farther east ideas, and so it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues. Again, the current run of the Euro would suggest we see some snow, but not a lot. It would be mostly to our east. The GFS remains completely snow-free. So, we don't have numbers in our forecast just yet. You can find numbers on some apps and some sources out there, no doubt, but you're not going to see numbers from us until at least this time tomorrow evening, when hopefully we have a better handle on the track of this system. So, that'll do it for me tonight on Monday evening's Weather for Weather Geeks. Thanks for welcoming me back, I should say, onto your devices and onto your computers after a few weeks off. And I'll see you tonight on 21 News 11, and again on Tuesday for a fresh edition of Weather for Weather Geeks.